Good morning. We're going to be doing Big Gnome today. Now this is an unfinished little one, but some of you have done my little one here, which was the Ferrero Rocher. But I had a few requests regarding a chocolate orange one. So this is the chocolate orange one. The pattern is already on my website because I did actually get a pattern done for this one. But because there have been a few requests for it to be done as a YouTube tutorial instead, I thought, well, why not? It does take a little bit longer though, so I'm warning you there, it is not such a quick video. But as you can see, we have a little green body, little red hat, and his beard, of which I've already cut out the yarn. And don't worry, you don't have to watch me stitch all that on. But for this, there is 30 pieces, and I've said to cut between 5 and, I've actually cut it longer, between 5 and 6 inches, and then you can just trim it round afterwards. And also with this, I have separated the yarn to create this little curl sort of effect as well. So let's get going and see what we have. I have double knit yarn, I have a skin colour, I have a red for his hat and a green for his body. It could be any combination. A gnome does not have to be wearing those colours, so it's up to you. I've got my little gnome stitch marker there from So Unique. I have my needles, my scissors, tiny bit of stuffing for his head, and a 3.5mm crochet hook, which is what we're going to use today. So we're going to get straight into it. We start with the body, so I'm off with the green. The body's not too bad to do because a lot of it's in half treble, so it works quicker perhaps than if we were doing it in double crochets. So as always, we're going to start with our slip knot, and we're going to pop it onto the hook. And again, even though I say it's half trebles, it's still an amigurumi style. So we're going to go with our 2 chain, and into our first one we are going to start with DCs. We're going to do 6, oh it's spinning around, 6 double crochets. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. And into each of those 6 I'm now going to do 2 double crochets into each to give us 12. So it's just the same as we do for 90% of our amigurumi. So we have 2 in the first one, 2 in the second one, and in the third, and 4. That's 2 in each, remember, and 5. And 2 in that last one, number 6. So we now have 12 stitches. I'm just tightening up where my slip knot was at the beginning there. We're going to do another 2 in each, still in double crochets at this point, and it's going to give us 24 stitches. If you want to stitch mark at this point, it might be a good idea, but we will just count the 12. So 2 in each, so I'm just going to count as 1 every time I do a 2. So that's 1, 2, 3 with 2 in it, 4 with 2 in it, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, nearly there, that's 10, 11 and 12. So because we've done 2 in each, we've now got 24 stitches there. Now I am going to change to doing half trebles. As I say, this will make it move a little bit faster. I think it's quite a nice stitch to do, half trebles. And I'm just double checking what I've written. I'm going to do a slip stitch into my next one, yeah? And then I'm going to do 2 chain. Now this is the only time we're going to start with this half treble, otherwise it will be an amigurumi style, but I need to definitely start it as a good half treble there. So it is 2 chain, and then I'm going to do a half treble in the base straight at the bottom of that 2 chain. Okay, so it gives us an increase there, and then we're going to do 1 treble in the next one, and I'm just double checking how I've written this. So we have 1 treble in the next one, and then 2 and a 1. Right, we are increasing. So that's your increase there, because we've got 2 in the same one, then a 1. I'll just slow down for that half treble a minute. Got 3 on, pulls through all 3. Starts like a treble, ends like a double crochet, I suppose. So then we're going to go 2 1 2 1 all the way around. So the next one is 2 in the first stitch, and then 1 in the next one. 2 and 1. We have a 2 let me just unwind the yarn a little bit. Was that a 2? It was a 2, wasn't it? And a 1. We have a 2 and a 1. And we're just going to keep repeating that all the way around. So 2 in the first one, 1 in the second one. So obviously that's going to be giving us an increase. It should give us 36 stitches at the end of that. Oh, what am I doing here? At least you can see half treble. So I know that's a 2, that's a 1, this one's got to be a 2. It's a problem when I'm chatting. I sort of lose it. That's because I looked across to check that it was 36 stitches, which I knew it was, but I like to confirm. So off we go. So we have a 2 and a 1. Almost there. We have a 2 and we have a 1. A 2 and a 1. I always worry when I get to the end if I've got enough stitches, but I have. But there's times I haven't, and I've sort of had to bodge it a little bit. And a 1. So that means we have our basic shape. We've now got sort of the tedious bit in some respects, but it's an easy bit. You're going to do X amount of rows just in half treble. Now you think, well, that's not going to be big enough to go round, but because the half trebles, it will stretch nicely. Now let me count. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rounds of half trebles. So if you're wanting to leave me at this point, I will see you in a little while. If you want to slow me down or speed me up or whatever you want to do in the settings, I will be here when you get to the end of it. Now here, just before you disappear, I'm not going to do a slip stitch join. I'm just going to go straight into the top of that 2 chain as a half treble, okay? And then from then on, it's just going to become a spiral half treble. Feels a bit weird, I know. I'm going to pop little Gnome in now because we've got these rounds to do. And I don't need to sort of think about it if I'm doing that. So I'm going to count again now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. I need a piece of paper. I will have to write it on there. I have my pen ready. So I'm going to mark down 8 rounds. I would recommend at about 7 you check how it's going to fit on your orange, just in case your sort of stitching's a little bit looser or a little bit tighter. So off we go. First one's always a nightmare to get in after you've just done that chain. Right, off we go, off we go, off we go. So if I see you in a while for some of you, otherwise if you're staying with me, I will obviously be chattering. If you don't want to sort of listen to the chatter or anything, obviously you can just turn off the volume. Or if you do speed me up though, I will sound a bit silly, so you might want to actually turn the volume down. I think this is, well, almost the last Christmas thing I'm going to be doing. Because, oh, well, we've just only got just over a week, haven't we? So I know some will be doing some last minute things. I've got a couple of sort of very simple ideas I might sort of throw together. But because I'm not about for the next couple of days, it's sort of going to be a little bit last minute. And then we're going to be thinking about what we're going to be doing for crochet for the new year. I think it's always a sort of flat time for crafting, January. Because I mean the first thing people might be thinking of crafting for would be Valentine's Day. I suppose then we're on Valentine's Day, Mother's Day and Easter. I suppose we get to Easter, it's a little bit more interesting, but I think it's a little bit flat for that first sort of 6 weeks. So we need to think of something. I've got a couple of ideas for the Valentines, but things that don't have to be for Valentine's, they could be for anything. If any of you do have any ideas, give me a shout, leave me a comment down below. I'm not saying I'll be able to make it, I can't make everything, but if it's something that I think I'm capable of doing and it would be easy to show for yourselves, because that's the other thing when I'm doing the tutorials, they have to be things that are sort of most people can have a go at. I don't want to sort of do crochet that's too complicated. Right, that's 1 round. Must mark this down while I'm talking. You can see how it just blends in now that we're going in a sort of spiral fashion. Off we go. Second round for our little Gnome here. not so little Gnome. My other one was a little Gnome. This is a big Gnome. So as I was saying, if you've got any ideas or something you think you're doing, would like me to do, just, as I say, give me a shout or pop a comment. It's lovely to hear from people when they do actually sort of leave a comment. It's always nice. Right, off we go. So you can see it's growing a lot faster than if we were doing half trebles. I was going to say half trebles. We are doing half trebles. Than if we were doing double crochets. I think probably the thing that takes the longest on the Gnome is probably the hat. Because if you've seen the Smart Doll Santa hat that I did, it's the same sort of system, but obviously it's a lot smaller. It wouldn't fit a Smart Doll that. But there's sort of constant increasing, and you know it can get a little tedious for somebody to be watching someone. You see it's already starting to curve round. That's near enough round for our round 2. There's 6 more to go. Let's have a look. Can you see how it's starting to already fit around it? So it's not too bad at all, that. I mean, of course, you don't have to have chocolate oranges. I mean, it's a chocolate orange shape. You could do fruit or, okay, maybe not so exciting, but it's Christmas. There's some nice oranges about. My pussycat's crying at the door again because I've just shut him out. I would let her in, but chaos would ensue, so I think it's best not to. So we're halfway round for our next one. As I say, I might be going a little bit faster depending on your level of crochet if you're planning on keeping up. I don't think I'm overly fast. I'm somewhere in the middle. I know there's some people have commented on YouTube that I am too fast. But again, if that is the case, pop onto the settings. It's that little cog somewhere. I didn't even know it existed till my son told me. And you can actually slow down whatever video you're watching. But as I've mentioned before, just unfortunately, the actual my speech is a bit weird then. Because I either sound like I've been drinking too much and I'm all slurred if you slow it down, or I sound, well, I don't know what I sound like if you speed it up. It sounds very mad. We're nearly there for our round 3. And round 3. We're almost halfway. Again, it's curling round something terrible, so just push it out like that. And then it's easier to work with, because as it curls in, it does make it rather awkward to work with. I'm curious to know how long this is going to actually take. I mean, according to the timer, we're on 13 minutes, but I suppose 3 minutes was just me getting it all going. So we're on about 10 minutes. I am hoping to get him made in under an hour. That's the theory. But that won't be doing all the finishing touches. So if you're making this for a gift, I think you sort of need to put a sort of a good 1.5 hours to 2 hours to one side, because sometimes it's not the making of the item, it's the actual either stitching together or adding detail, and the beard does take a while. I have to warn you on that one. It's, if you leave it just sort of the yarn, it's not too bad, but if you're splitting the yarn like I've done on that one, it does take a while to get it right, because otherwise it can catch. I think it's worth it though, to give him that sort of crimped look on his beard. I think it gives that a little bit more. Almost round for number 4. Have a quick look what he looks like on the orange when I get round to number 4. Hopefully we're halfway down his body by that point. So a little marker. Can you see it? It's sitting nice and cozy, and as you say, it's about halfway there. So off we go again. Absolutely love this green that I got. I know before I've said some of the greens, if they're Christmassy greens, they're too dark, and again it's hard to show up on a video, but I think this one's sort of a nice in between. I've no idea what brand it is. I don't know whether it's the Demores or whether it's the Starcraft. It is one or the other. The actual head and the eyes don't take much doing, so they're nice and quick. So you know that's a nice one to do. I have a little bit of toy stuffing, as I've mentioned, for the head. You don't have to use toy stuffing for this particular object. Sometimes it's nice, you know, if it's, you don't need a lot, some spare wool that you've got, but do try and keep to the same colour spare wool, because if it's a light colour like this one is, it does show through. And there's nothing more irritating than seeing another colour yarn underneath your work. There for the next round. One more stitch, perhaps one more, and we're round again. So we're up to number 5. We've only got 3 more rounds. You see, that's not too bad at all. I'd like to say thank you to my new subscribers. My numbers have gone up nicely. I know it's just for the Christmas period because people are sort of getting excited and making things for the holiday season. But it is lovely to see that people are sort of having a look at what I'm up to, and you feel that I'm worthy enough to subscribe. It does mean a lot. And of course, there's not just my crochet followers, there's my dolly followers, and some of you are both doll and crochet followers, same as I am, because I'm a doll collector, of course. So it's nice to get a nice mixture in. So if you are one of my crochet followers or following this, and also a dolly follower, again, if there's anything you can think of you might be interested in me making for a tutorial, trying to keep it again nice and simple so that everybody could have a go, please just pop that comment in. Feels like it's moving quicker now as I'm going round. So this is our 6th round, isn't it? So there's 2 more after that. I would recommend you do try it at around 7, just in case your stitches are looser. You could, well, I'm saying you could, I don't know whether to make it too loose. I'm thinking you could do it at a treble if you wanted to make it a little bit quicker, because you can't really see his body that much because of his beard. It wouldn't make a huge difference, I don't think. I don't know whether to make it a bit looser, so you'd have to be sort of experiment on that. So we're now on round 7. I don't know whether you could hear the cat then, she meowed quite loud. Yeah, I'm just looking again at the time, and I reckon 20 minutes-ish for the body. Although, as I say, I'm not going that slow. Make sure you do catch both sides of the stitches. I nearly caught just one then. It does make a difference, and it does make a difference to the neatness of your work, let alone the design. So I'm going to try it back on our orange when we get to this. So let's have a go, let's have a go, let's see. So this is 7 rounds. Let's see how we're going. It's not far off. I think for me personally, I do need another half treble round, because after the half treble round I've done a double crochet round. So I reckon 1 half treble, 1 double crochet, and we have done his body. That wasn't bad at all. Right, so our last round of just half trebles, just 1 half treble into every single one of those. What did we have? 36 stitches. It's odd because it's not a design I thought I would have liked as a finished thing. I mean, I've seen a few gnome things about it and think, oh, they're so cute. But I'm like, oh, I don't think I'll do that. And then when I did the little tiny Ferrero Rocher one, I thought he was gorgeous. So I just had to do more. And it perfectly complements this gorgeous little stitch marker I've got from So Unique as well. Nearly there. I think we're about 10 more stitches perhaps. Let's see if I'm right. That's 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, it's less actually. 6, 7, and I would say 8. I wasn't far off with 10, was I? Right, we're just going to have 1 double crochet into each stitch. I've just chosen a double crochet at the last round because I think it just neatens it off. It sort of finishes, I don't know, it sort of tightens it, but not pulling it in. It just finishes the line off. You could just leave it at the half treble if you wanted to. If you've checked that on your orange it is more than long enough, just leave it at the half treble. But I know for mine, I need this last row. Count down again. I can see the stitch marker. Should have moved him up really, but because we're doing sort of not that many rounds, I can get away with it. And a slip stitch finish. And our body is done. So what did it take? It took about 20 minutes. It did take about 20 minutes, that. So we'll just finish that off. Let's take our little stitch marker out because I might need that. And I'm just going to be lazy and just push. Oh, I knocked the camera. I'm always doing that. And there we go. It fits on nicely. Yes, I'm quite happy with that. So that is our little Gnome body. So his head time. I'll move the green yarn out of the way. Now the head is done in all double crochets. So those of you who've just disappeared while you were doing your rounds, hopefully you're back now. Welcome, and let's get on with his little head. I need to turn the page. Now his head is completely amigurumi because they are double crochets. So we need our 2 chain, and yes, you've got it, 6 in 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, and 2 in each next. So 2 in the first one, 2 in the second one, 2 in number 3, in number 4, number 5 and number 6. We now have 12 stitches. Now I'm just going to pull tight my stitch knot there. Stitch knot? Stitch? That didn't sound right at all. Slip knot. A stitch knot. There's no such thing. I'm making up terms now. So again, we have 12 now, and we're going to do again a 2 in each to give us 24 stitches. So we have a 2 in our first one and in our second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, 7, 8, 9, 10, 2 more, 11, and our 12. Now that gives us 24 stitches round. So we do need one more. Oh, nearly knocked it off the hook. I need one more increase, but it's a smaller increase. It's only going to increase by 4 stitches. So you're going to do 2 in the first one and then 1 in the next 5, and you're going to repeat that down 4 times. So I'm going to do 2 in the first one and then 1 in the next 5. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. That's our first set. We've got 4 sets of these. So 2 in the next one and 1 in the next 5. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So that's our second set. Set number 3. 2 in the first one, 1 in the next 5. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and our last set, 2 in this one, then we have 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Now that is the last of our increases here. So as you guess, we're going to be doing plain double crochet rounds now, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Maybe let's write that down. I'm going to pull in our little stitch marker again. It's just easier while I'm chattering. And again, yourself, if you're watching television or there's distractions, pop that stitch marker in. So this is the first of our 5 rounds. Now we have 28 stitches, so there's not really that much to go round. So this is our first round. If you're again disappearing, there are 5 rounds. So I will see you in a moment if you've either paused me or you've disappeared. If you're staying with me, you'll just have to listen to me chuntering away here. Look at that, we're almost round already. Again, if the double crochets are too fast, just slow it down on the settings. And that's round number 1 already. That went quick. So we've only got 4 more of those doing. I think it's going quick because compared with that, obviously there was a lot more stitches, so it felt like you were doing a lot more, whereas this one's a lot less. Yeah, the hat's misleading like that. It's great to start with because it starts with not many stitches and it gets bigger. I actually prefer, excuse me, I prefer working the other way around. If you've got like a lot of stitches and then you're decreasing, it makes you feel like you're getting somewhere. But obviously some patterns you can't do that with. Particularly with these sort of hats, you could start at the base, but I think it is harder to do. I think it's easier just to start from the point. That's halfway around for number 2. I think what I'll do is I will crochet everything, all the bits, then I will put some of it together. I'm not going to put it all together because everybody's got their own method of sewing, and again, you don't want to be sitting watching me doing too much of that, I am sure. The only thing I've just realised I've not put out on the table are his little eyes. You see he's got these two little beads. They're actually the same size as I used for my little Ferrero Rocher, guys. Let's get this third round started. Because I thought he looked quite cute with the little tiny eyes. Please remember though, if you are making it for a younger person, or it ends up getting caught by a baby or something like that and they're playing with it, if they start chewing it, I wouldn't recommend you pop beads on. You could actually just stitch the detail on with some black yarn. I think that's probably the best option if you know there's a chance. Or if an animal, you know, I know they shouldn't be getting hold of it, but you know what they're like sometimes. If they got a hold of it, hopefully without the orange, because that's dangerous, they might chew the eyes off. I mean, they're such tiny eyes, I suppose they would go through the body, but it's really not worth the risk. So I know if I'm always making for smaller children, the details are stitched on. That's 3. We need 2 more rounds. It's curling round. Looks like he's sat in a little basket, doesn't he? Right, let's push it that way round. That's better. And we just got 2 more rounds of his head. Off we go. Again, I've not moved the stitch marker up. Ideally, you should move it up every maybe 2 rounds. But because we've only got 5, it's not going to make a huge difference. Even if we're sort of approximating it a little bit. It's one of the things I like about crochet. You can get away with a little bit of approximation. Depending on what you're doing. Obviously, if you're making a garment or something like that, that's not always the case. You know, so I don't want to end up like one sleeve longer than the other or something misshapen or something like that. I think that's perhaps why I don't like making full-size garments. I like to sort of be a little bit more free flow rather than having to keep strict to it. We're almost round for our number 4, so we've only got 1 more round and his little head is done. Now the little nose is going to be even quicker, and then we'll get on to the hat. So I'm on my last round now. I didn't mark number 4 down because I knew it was just my last one. I thought I'd lost this yarn actually earlier. I couldn't find it, so but again, skin tones can be any tone, so it's up to you sort of what colouring you decide on that. This is not really a skin tone. I've got it next to my hands, but it was sort of the nearest I could get for that. I think any skin tones in yarn are hard to get, really hard to sort of match up. Right, a few more stitches and we're round on our 5th round, and we can say the head is done. I'm going to do 1 more and then a slip stitch because that's what I like to do, not that you have to do it. Right, fasten off, release the little gnome, and let's have a look. So you can see that's where that is sitting. So before we get rid of this sort of peachy colour yarn, I need to do his nose. And again, this could not be easy because obviously it's so tiny compared with everything else we're doing. But we're still going to start with our 2 chain, and we're still going to do 60 double crochets into the first chain. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. We're going to increase slightly because this would be a little bit too small, so we're going to do 2 in the first one, 1 in the second one, 2 in this one, 1 in the second one, 2 and a 1. It'll give us 9 stitches. So we have 2 double crochets in our first one, 1 in our second, 2 double crochets in our third, 1 in our fourth, 2 in our fifth, and 1 in our 6th. So we have 9 stitches now, so we're just going to do 1 round of double crochet. I mean, if you want to make him have a really long nose, if you want to sort of play about with the style, you would do more than 1 round now, but I'm just doing 1 because I found that was okay for what I wanted. So that's 2, 3, 9 stitches, remember, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9, and slip stitch finish. And we can get rid of that colour. We're getting there. Right, obviously that's the wrong way around, so we need to sort of just push his nose round, and then we've got a little cute nose that's going to just poke out from beyond his beard. So he has a head, he has a body, he has a nose. He now needs the all-important gnome's hat, which I think is very characteristic of the gnome. Again, I'm now going to turn over my pattern. There we are. And we're going to start with this hat. I've used a lot of red. You can tell we know Christmas. I've been using lots of reds and greens. So, slip knot and 2 chain. But this time we're not going to do it all. So I'm saying all amigurumi. I'm looking at my thing. I was about to tell you to do 3. We're not doing 3. We're doing 6. I changed the pattern. I tried starting it with 3, and then I found out it wasn't really necessary. That's why I've got that in my head. So we're going to do 6 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Perhaps you're better off not listening to me and just watching what I do. Now into that 6 we're just going to do 1 double crochet into each. If you're not sure where 1 is, start from the back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is there. So just 1 in each. It's a bit fiddly this bit. That's 2, that's 3, 4, 5 and 6. You can see how it curls round. It's a nightmare, that first bit. There we are, 6. So I'm going to sort of just try and push it over my little finger to turn it the right way out. It usually works about right, that size. So that's the direction it needs to be in. So we're going to have our first increase. It's similar to the nose. We're going to be doing 2 in one and 1 in the next one times 3. So you end up with 9 stitches. So we have 2 in our first stitch, 1 in our second, 2 in our third, 1 in our fourth, 2 in our fifth, and 1 in our sixth, and it's curling back again. So let's just push it back out. We're now going to be doing just a double crochet round again, so you have 9 stitches, so it's just 1 in each 9. So we can count that one easily. We don't need a stitch marker yet. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. So we're increasing a little bit there, so that gives us 9 stitches. We have another increase, and it's only going to be by 3 again. So you're going to do 2 in the first one and then 1 in the next 2 times 3. So here we go. So we have a 2 and then we have a 1 and a 1, 1 and 1. That's our first set. So we have a 2, we have a 1 and a 1. That's our second set. Third set coming up. We have a 2, we have a 1 and a 1, and you are round. I'm just going to put a pen to mark where I'm going with this one. We have 12 stitches now. So as before, we're doing 1 double crochet into each of those 12. So again, still no stitch marker, I don't think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. So we're now gone a little bit wider. You can see the cone starting to form. I'm just going to keep moving this pen down, otherwise I'm going to lose track where I am. We're going to do 2 double crochets in the next one and 1 in the next 2. Now you might be thinking, well, I've just done that. I have just done that, but this time we're going to do it 4 times. So we are increasing more, even though we're doing less sort of double crochets in one respect. Right, so we have 2 in one and then 1 in the next 2, and that's our first one. And again, this is our second one. 2 in one, 1 in 2. That's our second one. Our third one, 2 in one, 1 in 2, and our last one 2 in 1 and 1 in 2. So we now should have 16 stitches. Our next one's also going to be one where we're increasing 4 times, but this time it's going to be 2 in the first one and 1 in the corresponding next 3. So 2 in 1, 1 in 3, 1, 2, 3. That's one set. 2 in 1, 1 in 3, 1, 2, 3. Again, 2 in 1, 1 in 3, 1, 2 and 3. Because I lost count there, I'm going to do a quick check that I did do 4 sets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. I should have 20, so I'm going to do one more. That's why I should have had the stitch marker in, isn't it? 1, 2, 1, 2 and 3. I'm going to pop the stitch marker in now because we're going to be sort of off and on with different rounds. We've only got one more increase round before we're going to have a couple of straight rounds. So stitch marker is in. We have a normal double crochet round. So we've got 20 stitches at the moment, so if we just do 1 in each of 20, I can check my count now actually, so that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, let's hope it's 20, 12, 13, 14, it's looking good, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Yeah, good job I checked the count though, because otherwise I would have been 1 stitch short there. Now we have another increase row, which is another 4 one, so it's 2 in 1 and 1 in the next 4 times. I have my stitch marker ready this time, so hopefully I'll count it right. So 2 in the first one and then 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 in the next one. This is our second set, and 1 in the next 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Third set coming up. 2 and then 1 in 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4, and our last set, 2 in this one and then 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and you are round. Now there isn't a double crochet round in between these two there, but there is another increase one. This is our round 10, and we're going to do 2 in the first one, 1 in the next 5 times 4, and it'll give us 28 stitches. So a 2, and then a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. First set. Second set, a 2, so that's your increase, and then 5. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. That was the second set. 2 in the next one for our third set, and then 5. 1, 2, 3. Oh, nearly lost it off the table. That was 3, 4 and 5. Last set, 2 in this one, and then 5. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So we're round, so you can see the shape come in sort of obviously it's not big enough yet, that'd be a rather small hat for him. So now we are just going to be doing double crochet rounds. Let me double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. We have 6 rounds of just double crochet. So some of you will be saying bye-bye to me again to get your 6 rounds done and joining me in at the end there. If you're staying with me, let's get on with these 6 rounds. Good job I've got the stitch marker in place now. If you haven't put yours in, it's a good time to put it in. So as we don't have to think about counting, we're just going round and round. I'm going to go a little bit quicker because again I am conscious that this will be a long video. We're not doing too bad. Keep saying it's going to be longer. I think it's probably the longest I've done because we're on 45 minutes at the moment, and we've still got a little way to go. But 6 rounds is not so much to do. I know some of you might be doing this as a very last minute Christmas gift, because we've got to get these things off to Father Christmas or get them out, because we are counting down. I can't believe how close it is. I know I mentioned something yesterday and I'm saying, oh, it's just over a week. That's not long, is it? I must admit I am one of these people, well, because when the virus hit, I did decide I had to be extra organised. I'd always been quite organised, so Father Christmas has all his details sorted. Got all foods and things like that. It's going to be a difficult time for some people. I'm sort of quite lucky circumstances, so I've been okay with that, although we have had some quite massive changes. My husband did lose his job, but thankfully has found some other work, so we're going to be onwards and upwards now. I'm always half cup full. I think that's what you've got to be in life. I hope you're all sorted for your Christmases. I hope you're all going to have a happy Christmas, even if we are separated perhaps from some of your loved ones. But it's better to be safe. I know here in the UK we have a sort of a little break, should I say. That's our second round, where we are going to be allowed to see a family. That's if they don't change it today, because I know they are up for discussion, seeing whether it's safe or not. But I'm lucky to have family very close, so it's not too bad. And there's been lots of video calls, things like that, especially where the grandchildren are concerned. We're getting there. We're almost halfway already. That was me expecting it to take a lot longer for some reason. There's another one around, so that's 3, so we're actually halfway. Not bad at all. Can you see how it's starting to sort of fit over his head now? But it needs to, I've done it so it comes right down onto his back here. So it's really, really close down over his head, right touching his nose. So that's why it needs the little bit of extra length there. So off we go again. I think probably the beard probably takes as long as the hat to do. But like I said, don't worry, I'm not going to make you watch everything in the beard. I'm just going to go over some details with you. I mean, to be honest, if you've seen my baby gnome for the Ferrero Rocher cover 1, it's exactly the same. There is no difference as far as the beard is concerned. Apart from that, there's a lot more. As I say, I've cut 30 pieces, which was okay for mine. You may want to add in a few extras, so it depends on how bushy you want the beard to be. So yeah, maybe add in a couple more. But I did 30 on the little one, the big one that you can see there. And I think that was about right for me anyway. Right, that was 4. We've got 2 more rounds. Yeah, we're absolutely tramming it out. We're going for it. I think these are perfect gifts as well, especially sort of if you've agreed not to spend a lot out or something like that. I think a personal handmade gift is lovely. I think it's definitely the way to go. And I think kids and grown-ups absolutely love things like this. I don't think it matters how old you are to sort of enjoy a bit of fun like this. And also it's tasty fun because you get a chocolate orange as well. Right, that's round 5, almost, not quite to the stitch marker. There we are, we're at the stitch marker. So we have our last round. So it took about 55 minutes. That's not bad. So yes, I definitely think maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours. Even if your crochet is slower, I think 2 hours you should nicely get one in. So you have to sit and think who maybe wants one of these in their Christmas stocking. They make great teacher's presents as well. Because again, it's that time of year. I think most of the children in this country are at school. I know our children around here are. They've got their last day tomorrow. Last couple of stitches. And a slip stitch finish. And snip. Should have left that a bit longer. This bit, remember, when you use the fine, there might be enough there, but when you've got those final bits, they're usually for sewing something on, so it's nice to sort of leave it nice and long, because then you're not having to add other pieces of yarn to your stitching, so it's less to sew up basically. It's just easier for you. So we give it a little stretch, and you can see we have a completed hat. So we're going to have a quick look at a couple of things. Let's tuck that bit in, we don't need that. I'm not popping the stuffing in just yet. I like to sew sort of part way round before I do that. So I've got my wool needle here, I've just thrown a little tiny stitch marker gnome over my table. Now I've got to sort of decide where I'm going to want it to sit. So you can see where the rings are, the spirals. So I'm going to think, where about? So I'm going for this spiral here. Yeah, on the inner part of it is where I'm going to sew my little head on. So I'm going to start it just there. Pop the head into position. I quite often just sort of squash it down like that. I've kept the orange in the cover because I do find it easier to stitch onto the orange. It's harder and it gives you your position right. The stitch doesn't want to go in. Where are you? That's better. So we're going to stitch it round. I'm just picking up the outer of the 2 stitches. So I don't know if you can see this bit here is one part of the stitch, and that is the part I'm picking up because I just think it makes a neater join. This is a little bit more difficult to pick up because I'm picking up into a half treble, whereas when it's a double crochet I think it is easier to pick up. I'm not going to pick up all the way around, I'll just go about halfway and then I'm going to pop in the other details and I can finish this off later. So you can see it come in. I need a little bit more than that so I show you the next section. I know I've said before, but I find it hard to sort of actually sew in this position because I normally bring it quite close to my body when I'm stitching things together. So I find it a little bit clumsy doing it this way. I sort of like want to pull it right up to me to do it. I think we're about ready for some stuffing. Again, if you've not got any stuffing, a little bit of yarn would work, but I'd definitely go for the same colour yarn as you've used for the head. So we'll pop that in. It also helps hold it in place a little bit if there is some stuffing in there. Again, I'm pulling it towards me, aren't I? I must stop doing that. Let's see how far around we are now. So it looks a bit funny at the moment, doesn't it, without his detail on. I'm not going to continue sewing that on because I say I want to show you a couple of little bits. Now on the nose, you can see there's the bit where you started with there. And what I actually find is quite good to position, I usually thread that one up and then I push it all the way through because it's sort of, look, it just holds it in place. So that I just snip off afterwards, but that is holding it in place. I like the knot position to be at the bottom of the nose. And like with the body, we're just going to stitch it on, picking up the top loop of the stitch and round. Oh, poor little nose, what am I doing here? I haven't put any stuffing in the nose. I don't think it's necessary, but if you do, if you've made a larger nose perhaps, you know, out of choice, and you want to make it a bigger nose, you might need to pop a bit of stuffing in there. So it does look quite peculiar to start with, because it does really look like it sticks out quite a lot, but when you get the beard on and the hat on, it balances it out. So just a little knot there. I'm going to pop it through once. And you know, I like to overdo it a bit. I think we could do a bit more stuffing in his head actually, by the feel of him. And I'm going to snip it off there. And I have a little bit of stuffing left over here. Good job I'd not fastened it off. See, that's the other thing perhaps. Make sure you've got enough stuffing on before you finish it off. And that was the bit that just came from the inside part of the nose, so we can get rid of that. So we have his little facial features there. Now, as far as his hat is concerned, we can tuck that bit in. Again, you could stuff part of the hat if you wished. But can you see how far down it comes? So again, for demonstration purpose, I'm not going to stitch it on, but I've stitched it on right down onto the green and underneath and over. Then it comes to the dreaded beard that takes forever. So I'm just going to show you a couple of these. So basically, I take the pieces, as I said, I've cut them sort of 5 to 6 inches. That's more than enough. In fact, it's too much, but it's better to trim it off afterwards than not have enough. I've folded it over so you can see we have a loop end and we have 2 loose ends. And I started from the center point just underneath his nose. So I went across, pull it through, not all the way through, so you have the 2 ends, put the 2 loose ends through the loop and pull and tighten. Now I'm just going to cut this one. I would normally cut it at the end when it's all on, but I wanted to show you what I did for the actual separation of it. It just looks like he's got one whisker at the moment. He looks most peculiar. And what I did is, can you see how you've got a twist in the yarn? Sometimes you can untwist it. Can you see how it's untwisting? But you won't find, quite often it won't fully separate, so you do need to get in there with a needle or a pin to separate it out. I mean, look at the difference with the 2. Also makes the beard a lot bushier. So if you sort of just unwind it a little bit, it gives you a chance to get in there. Because it can tangle if you're not careful. You do need to sort of untwist it a little bit. So there we go, the start of his beard, bless him. I think he's definitely very wanting at the moment. So I then just worked from side to side to side to side to side. And I went a couple up onto his cheek either side just to fill it out. As you can see, sort of right up to the hat. So I've got a couple of layers in there. So there's 2 layers in the side, there's just 1 along the front, and then I've done 2 and taking it all the way around to where his hat is. So you need really his hat sewing on completely before you do actually finish the beard. And then, as I said, I've just sewn on some tiny little beads. So he's got his little beady eyes poking out there. But again, if you're doing it for somebody younger, I would recommend you just stitch those on. Because it's a stuffed head, it's easy enough. You could use safety eyes if you wanted to before you finish popping the head on. Before you stitch it on, should I say. You could pop safety eyes in. It's up to you really which way you want to do that. But that's it for today. I'm going to pop the completed one back on the orange so you can see it slots on really nice. And what a cute gift is that, because the thing is, you take the orange out and he still stands really well. So you can still have him sat on the side after you've eaten your chocolate orange. So he still makes like a Christmas decoration for years and years to come for that. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed our larger gnome, not our little gnome. Please like, subscribe and share if you do enjoy my channel. As I say, we've got to start thinking about what we're going to do for the new year. I've got a couple of ideas ready. But apart from that, if I don't see you again, have a fabulous holiday and Christmas time. But but I'm hoping to get a couple of other sneaky little Christmas bits in before sort of the end of the week. So I'll see you very soon. Thank you for watching. Bye.